The WWE and AEW Tag Teams of the Year. We'll start with AEW first. Who'd you vote for, and who do you think won?
I voted for FTR, obviously. Greatest tag team in the world. I think they... I think they should win. They had so many tag teams this year, but I just feel like not a lot of them did anything. They claimed they've been pretty good. Swerve and Glory, like I said, had a good reign. Darby and Sting, they'd only wrestle on pay-per-views, Blackpool Combat Club. I went FTR. Who wouldn't surprise me? I feel like Blackpool Combat Club can win, but I think it's FTR.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you right now, before we go any further, it really comes down to two teams. They got no other poll was as... I don't know if it was as close. This was very close. But it really only comes... A majority of the votes went to two teams, and the rest of them got almost nothing. So, in last place with 0%, no votes for either or any of these three teams. Jurassic Express, none, which is funny because they were tag team champions for, 6 months?
They were tag team champions like the whole half of the year.
For the good first half of the year, how quickly people forget, they were not voted for at all. I didn't even bother putting Red Dragon on here because they were in there for a cup of coffee. Death Triangle. I'm going to include trios going forward because they were trios champions and they were also Lucha Bros were tag team champions for the first day of the year. No votes for them. Darby Allin and Sting. I've enjoyed them as a team. No votes at all. 2.5% of the vote. Swerve and Our Glory. So the first team that had votes was Swerve. They were in 5th place here. 4th place with 5% of the votes was Blackpool Combat Club. I love them. I love Blackpool. They had a great year. The problem with them was that they weren't consistent. They didn't chase tag team gold. They didn't chase trios gold. They were just kind of there. They didn't have a lot of direction beyond the Jericho Appreciation Society stuff. So that's the problem there. Although they did have a good year. 7.5% of the vote. The Young Bucks / the Elite, because they weren't around for most of the year, it felt like, but they still got, a couple good matches in there with FTR among other people. So it only comes down to two teams winning the poll. The top team got 45% of the vote. The second team got 40% of the vote. Winning for AEW's Tag Team of the Year, The Acclaimed. And second was FTR. That really surprised me. The Acclaimed had a great year, and I'm glad they're champions. They're really fucking over. The thing with The Acclaimed, though, they had a good year. They didn't really get super, super hot. It felt like they were over all year. They didn't really get hot until after Forbidden Door. After the Gun Club stuff, they won the titles. And that was it. FTR were great all year long. They were barely on the show for most of the year, it felt like, but they were consistently hot. They won 3 different tag titles and 3 different promotions. Match of the year contenders with the Briscoes, the Bucks, a few other tag teams as well. Excuse me. I would go FTR, but the Acclaimed aren't a bad choice. I'm just surprised they won the whole thing.
Yeah, I think they, like you said, I think they had a good year. I feel like, like you said, it was more to the, right when All Out. By the time All Out came, that's when they really were over, and that's when they didn't win the belts, and they won that Grand Slam. But I think they're over definitely. Best tag team. It's FTR all day. They could work with broomsticks and have a good match. So I think Acclaimed are definitely hot, and hopefully they can get away from the scissoring stuff and kind of focus on them. But I think that they're definitely out of the other teams like Jurassic Express and Swerve and Our Glory, other teams that had won belts throughout the year, they're definitely the most interesting, just because they're newer, younger. We haven't really seen a lot of them, but no, I would say they were probably the second team I would have put on the list.
And not only that, too, I will give AEW credit. How often have we said they've put the belts, the tag titles specifically, on teams that were over, they missed their opportunity, and then they put the belts on them? Jurassic Express, Lucha Bros were another example. I feel like they should have been champions years ago. And Jurassic Express's reign wasn't overly interesting as a result of that. They were over, but not as over as they were 2 or 3 years ago. FTR were champions pretty quickly. The Bucks were champions for a while. So it was primarily those two teams. I'm glad they capitalized on the Acclaimed's popularity. They didn't just have them be over and then have them lose. He actually put the belts on him, did Tony Khan. So I got to give him credit for that. He had a great year. They had a great year. And FTR were the best team of the year. They are the best team in the world to me as well. I would agree with that. And for a team that is the best team in the world that held 3 tag titles simultaneously, the AEW tag team titles eluded them. Their second reign eluded them. And not only that, dropping the Ring of Honor tag titles of Final Battle a couple weeks ago. They just lost the Triple H tag team titles, the AAA tag titles on Wednesday. And they're probably dropping the New Japan titles in Wrestle Kingdom in a couple weeks. So 2023 could be a very interesting year for FTR as far as where they end up next.
No, definitely. I mean, we kind of, once we heard the rumors that their contracts were coming up, and like you said, they didn't win AEW Gold all year and held these other tag team titles. I feel like once they lost the Ring of Honor belts to the Briscoes, it kind of was more a matter of if not when they dropped those other belts. Like, so they just dropped the AAA belts. I expect them to drop the IWGP at Wrestle Kingdom, and I think they'll be free agents. I mean, I think if WWE returns in the future, I don't think they'll go there right away, but I mean, I think that's definitely in the horizon.
I would like to see it. I would love to see that, and hopefully they can maybe pick up a couple more tag team titles before they go back, and then go back to WWE. And listen, their tag team division is as good as AEW's is. They still have issues, but even their tag team division is more featured consistently than WWE's. They have the Usos and they have a couple other good teams, but it's really the Usos, and that's about it. So the Usos and FTR would be incredible, though, to be fair. So we'll see what the future holds for them in 2023. For the WWE Tag Team of the Year, I mentioned the Usos. They dominated a majority of the year. I assume they got your vote, and I assume that's who you vote, who you think is going to win as well.
Yeah, it's the Usos. I mean, there wasn't really anyone else close.
So let's get into it. 0% of the votes for half of these teams. I mean, this was a landslide for obvious reasons. No votes for 4 of the 8 teams. Profits, no votes. Pretty Deadly had a great year, no votes at all. They had a great year in NXT, I will say. They were a breakout team. After being NXT UK Tag Team Champions for most of 2021. The Creed Brothers, also good year, no votes. Alpha Academy had a great year, I thought. They were Raw Tag Team Champions for a little while. They've been all over Raw, very entertaining, lose way more than they win, no votes. We get into 4th place here. Let's see, tied for actually 3rd place, 2.5% of the votes. RK Bro. Their best work came last year, but they were also really good for the first 5 months of the year. This year, and 2nd place, tied for 2nd place, Damage Control and Toxic Attraction with 5% of the votes each. So 2 women's teams actually getting the 2nd place, tied for 2nd place. 1st place, the Usos, no surprise there. 87.5% of the vote. I'm honestly surprised it's not even higher because they're the only team I think anyone should have even voted for.
Yeah, I mean, I think for WWE, they were like the standalone team. I mean, like you said, I feel like hopefully this year Triple H will definitely put more interest in the tag team division. Like you said, I think they have some decent teams there. Hopefully that'll be like a project for 2023. But, I mean, I think if you were looking Toxic Attraction, I mean, they were women's tag team champions on NXT for pretty much the majority of the year. They were all over the show with Mandy as well. So, I mean, I think they were probably, I would say they're probably the second if I was voting. But, no, it was the year dominated by the Usos.
Yeah, I mean, look at the year they had. They literally lasted the entire year as SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Broke the record for the longest reigning tag team champions in WWE history, broke the New Day's record, became the undisputed tag team champions, combining the Raw and SmackDown tag titles by beating RKO back in May. Consistent defenses. Say what you will about Roman, but the Usos have had a lot of defenses as tag team champions, especially this year. They had the match, 2 matches with the New Day to start the year. The street fight on SmackDown, which I was there for, the first SmackDown of the year. They faced the New Day at day 1. 2 great matches. They've always had great matches. They retained the titles against the Viking Raiders on SmackDown before Mania. They beat Nakamura and Boogs at Mania. People forget all about that. They beat them, I think, to open WrestleMania Night 138. They also, again, won the 6-man at WrestleMania Backlash. They beat Riddle and Nakamura on SmackDown to retain the titles on, I think, in June. July, they beat the Profits of Money in the Bank, and again at SummerSlam, 2 awesome matches, specifically Money in the Bank, fantastic match. They beat the Mysterios on Raw. They recently beat Owens and Riddle. They beat Owens and Rollins recently on Raw. They beat the Brawling Brutes a bunch of times. The New Day had an amazing match with them on SmackDown coming out of Crown Jewel to break the record. So many good matches from the Usos, not just how many matches they've had, but the consistency as far as who they've beaten is also very, very high.
No, definitely. I mean, they've also had a ton of good single matches as well, mostly Jay, but even that, I mean, like you said, the worst part is you named all these defenses, they still lose a lot.
They do. They lose a lot of the non-title matches, sure.
Which is just, to me, I just have never understood that. It's like why would you ever, it's like booking a singles champion just to lose all the time, just to win their defenses out. It makes no sense at all. But, no, I hope, like I said, hopefully in 2023, it's definitely a point of emphasis to revitalize the tag team divisions.
Hopefully we can get more teams that are kind of fighting for that top spot, and it's not just the Usos in 2023. I would say Owens and Zayn, hopefully, if they're the ones to take the tag titles, as they should be from the Usos and Mania. Maybe they reunite DIY. Maybe they bring another tag teams from other promotions. Maybe FTR ends up on this list for WWE next year. We'll see. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do in the new year, though.